Ten Hag speaks out about his potential sacking from Manchester United. Massive blow for Casemiro's career, and more leaks from the dressing room. These are some of the stories we will be discussing on this evening's show. But before we get into that, please smash a like on today's video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and let's get straight on into it. So let's start the show off with some positivity. Why not? So the positive story I've got for you this morning, or this evening even, is that apparently McTominay, Marcus Rashford, and Martinez are all back on the pitch. And all of them, apart from Martinez, should be available for the game against, who are we playing? Arsenal on Sunday. So that's really, really positive. Really happy about that. We've missed Martinez so badly this season. I think he's such an important player for us. I think he's someone that if we had him this season, we would probably be higher up the table than we are. All you have to think about is, imagine if Gabriel and Saliba were missing from the Arsenal squad. They would be really, really suffering. So the fact that we've got these two players back, this one player back, I think is a massive boost for Manchester United. And we just have to hope and pray that Lisandro Martinez will be available for the FA Cup final against Man City. Doesn't mean we're going to win. I don't know. Probably not, but I think it increases our chances. So happy about that. Keeping on the topic of injury news, the big story that came out today is that apparently Mason Mount has got another injury. It's not looking good for Mason Mount at Manchester United, is it? It really, really isn't. I don't know what the hell is wrong with him. None of us really wanted to sign him in the first place, which is obviously frustrating. A lot of us were very confused about the signing. So far this season, he's missed 27 games through injury, and now he's injured again. So he's probably going to miss all of the rest of the next kind of 2 or 3 games. So, his first debut season to probably end up missing probably 30 games out of the season. And then even when he does come back from injury, he only seems to be able to play for about 10 or 20 minutes. It's really, really frustrating. Really, really frustrating. But I guess all we can do is get behind him, hope the next season's better, hope that his injury records improve, and let's hope that we see the Mason Mount that we all expected, or the Mason Mount we saw at Chelsea that won the Champions League. Like we haven't even seen any of it yet, have we? So that's really disappointing. Let's move over to the story about Casemiro though, because there's a few people in the comment section saying, what's going on with Casemiro? What are you talking about? Casemiro has officially been dropped from the Brazil squad. He will not be part of their Copa America tournament, which obviously kicks off in June. He was the captain until about 2 hours ago. The captain of Brazil, playing for Manchester United, 350k a week. He has been completely dropped from the Brazil team. So it's not like they've just taken the captaincy off him. They've not even included him in the squad. He's gone from being the captain to not even in the squad within a couple of hours. I mean, that's really, really bad. And it kind of just sums up where Casemiro's career is at this point. Some people still think that he could do a job for Man United. But for me, I think his days are past him, to be honest, And the fact that even on the international stage, he's also now being dropped, going from being the captain to not even in the squad. Like, that is probably the biggest embarrassment you could possibly have in your whole career, I think. To have the honour of being the captain of your national team. Like, that is the biggest honour really around, isn't it? If you were to captain the international team, the country you're from, to go from that to not even being in the squad is like, that would be absolutely devastating. And I mean, this could go 2 ways. It might mean that Casemiro says, I've got a point to prove. I'm not going to go to the Saudi League. I'm going to stay at Man United and I'm going to fight to win my reputation back. That's option one. Or he might just say, okay, maybe it is time. I'm going to move to Saudi Arabia. I'm not part of the Brazil team. I'm putting in stinkers every week for Man United. The press are after me. The fans are saying I'm rubbish. Maybe he does just accept that, the days at the very, very top are past him and he does agree to move to Saudi. Apparently Man United are looking for around 40 million euros for Casemiro, which doesn't seem like a lot when you think we paid 70 million for him like 2 seasons ago. But when you consider the wages, he's on 350k a week. We have to kind of be reasonable here. No club in Europe is going to pay him 350k a week. Not one. We're the only one that was stupid enough to do it, and that's why he came to us. So Saudi Arabia is the most likely option for him. It's the only option for him, really, other than the MLS, or maybe, like, I don't even know, to be honest. Maybe, like, one of the... I think is there a league in Qatar? I don't know, a league in the Middle East who can pay him the kind of money that he is on now. So Casemiro, obviously one of the best CDMs in my lifetime, unbelievable for Real Madrid, but this is probably the final nail in the coffin for Casemiro's reputation. And that's why the video says Casemiro is finished, because I think he is finished, to be completely honest. Like, you put it in stinkers for Man United, you dropped from the Brazil team. I mean, what's left to happen? There isn't really too much more that can happen, is there? But it's a real shame, to be honest, because Casemiro last season was really, really good. I think he had a quality season. I know everybody's been poor this season, so I'm not just singling him out. Obviously, this is a news show, and the news is that he's been dropped from the England team. Imagine if Rashford had been dropped from the England team. It would be just as big a story. So don't focus too much on the fact that it's Casemiro. This could effectively happen to any of the players in this first team at the moment, because they've all been poor, apart from maybe Bruno, Mainu, Garnacho, Dalot maybe, and Højlund maybe for his first season. But I think everybody else has had a poor season, realistically. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about that. It's disappointing, it's sad, but I guess this is just what happens in life, isn't it? You reach a point where, you can't continue at the elite level, whether it's in your work or whatever it is, it's not just relevant to football, it's relevant in all elements of life. But moving on from that, let's talk about some incomings that Man United are looking to do. And the headline this evening is that apparently Atletico Madrid left-back Ronaldo, I think that's how you say it. Ronaldo, that's how you say it. Ronaldo is on Manchester United's list for this summer. It says Ronaldo has only 1 year left on his Atletico Madrid contract and will be available for somewhere around £8 million in the summer. Now, I'll be honest, it doesn't really excite me too much. 30 years of age, a decent player. I don't think he's world class personally, but I mean, none of our players are world class. So it's not like we're going from a world class left back to a not very good left back. He's only featured 12 times for Atletico Madrid this season, only played 700 minutes in all competitions, which is about the equivalent of about 7 football matches across a 40-50 game season. So he's clearly not part of their plans. His contract expires next year. Would I sign him? Probably not. I would rather give Harry Amas a chance, the left back that's come through the youth academy. I would rather give Malacia a chance. I'd rather give Luke Shaw a chance. Doesn't really do much for me, to be completely honest with you. So for me, he is a strong pass, but obviously we'll wait and see what happens with that one. We'll wait and see if Manchester United do want to kind of progress that deal or not. Everyone who's just joined the video, by the way, please smash a like. Let's try and see 200 likes on today's show. We've been hitting our targets loads recently. So yeah, if you are new as well, make sure you subscribe. We're on the road to 21,700 subscribers. So go and do that for me if you would. Right, let's move over to the story about leaks coming out from the dressing room, because there's more leaks, there's more gossip. It's just constant with Man United, isn't it? And I'll be honest with you, this leak seems a little bit strange. It's come out from media in Brazil, which an educated guess, so emphasize the word guess, this is not a fact, is that it probably would be a Brazilian player who would link information to the Brazilian press. And on the same day where Casemiro has been dropped from the national team, I mean, we only have 2 Brazilian players, so Casemiro and Antony, right? So it may have been one of them, but obviously we can't confirm that. But there's 2 or 3 different bits here. So the story is this: many Manchester United players blame Erik ten Hag for the excessive amount of injuries this season. According to some, he makes mistakes in maintaining the same training load throughout the season, even if the accumulated fatigue is much greater in the final stretch. It says exhausting sessions, cancellation of days off, and complaints about training have been relevant topics at United for a while. And it says the source tells us he blows everyone up. I perceive this as this: the players are lazy, the players are throwing their toys out of the pram, the players don't want to work hard, and the players want to blame the manager. And I think a lot of these players, they'll feel a tiny little niggle in their leg, or they'll feel a knot, or whatever you want to call it, and they'll be like, oh, I'm injured, I can't play. Because how many injuries did we have last season? Let's have a look, shall we? I mean, it wasn't anything like this season, was it? If we were challenging for the title, if we were in the Champions League, challenging for the title, and in the FA Cup final, How many of these players do you think would suddenly be available? I reckon half of the players who were injured would be available, genuinely. Obviously, Martinez is a long-term injury. Who else is a long-term injury? Malacia has obviously disappeared off the face of the earth. But some of these other people who like come back for 10 minutes and then just disappear for 6 months. I mean, Anthony Martial's been injured all season. Like, he was meant to come back like 3 months ago and he's just nowhere to be seen. He's just, some of these people are just more focused about what's going to happen afterwards, as in when their contracts expire, where they're going on holiday, what they're going to be having for dinner on the weekend, preparing for their barbecue in the sun this weekend. Like, they don't care about Man United. And I think that's why we need the biggest cultural change at the club since Sir Alex Ferguson left. And that's what Ineos need to really get their hands on, because I don't understand how last season, with the same manager, the same coaches, the same amount of games, if not more games last season, because we were in Europa and went to the final of the League Cup and went to the quarterfinal of the Europa. So we played more games last season. We also had the World Cup the year before that. We had less injuries. We didn't have people complaining about training. If anything, the media was kind of saying that the players needed to train harder because Erik ten Hag felt that they weren't running enough. We were getting outrun by teams. We weren't covering the same amount of distance. So last season, the narrative was the players aren't working hard enough. The players aren't training hard enough, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But yet we didn't have any injuries. This season, with the same manager, the same coaches, but less games than last year, we've got, at the moment, I think over 10 first-team players injured. We haven't got a single centre-back fit. You've got Maguire injured. You've got Varane, Martinez, Lindelof, Luke Shaw's injured, Willy Campoala's injured. Like, they're all injured. And it definitely does beg questions. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say 100%, it's this person or that person's pretending to be injured. I don't think it's as simple as that. I think these players are injured, but I think there's pain barriers that players play through. I.e., if we were in the Champions League final, I'm pretty sure every player in this squad would make themselves available one way or another. But them coming up against Arsenal on Sunday, who are, trying to win the title, and we're effectively battling for Europa Conference League, they're probably all like, stuff this. I don't like the manager. I want him sacked. I'm going to sit this one out. And I think that that's the kind of mentality that we've allowed to happen at this club. And I think it's the kind of mentality that Ineos, if they're going to be successful here, need to stamp out, because no matter who the manager is, if you let your players get away with stuff like this, it's just going to go on and on and on and on. So that's the first leak that came out, which obviously you can imagine frustrated me. And then the story also says that the way that Erik ten Hag deals with personal situations at Manchester United is not liked by the club's leaders. It says there is also an opinion in the United locker room that Ten Hag does not have enough experience to manage a club of the size of United. I mean, that's just embarrassing. Like, how many serial winners do we have in that locker room? As in the dressing room. The only serial winners we have in that entire squad is Casemiro, who we can all agree should probably retire or go to the Saudi League, and Varane, who we can probably all agree should also go to the Saudi League. Those are the only two serial winners in our whole squad, and they're both past their best. They're both barely able to play 50% of the games because of injury, and when they do play, they don't look very good anyway. Those are the only two seasoned pros in our squad. Everyone else in our squad, apart from Johnny Evans, obviously he's won a lot, but everyone else in our squad has achieved less than Erik ten Hag has in their careers. Think about it. Like, Harry Maguire, his first trophy was the League Cup last season. Like, Bruno, he's not actually won very much in his career. Rashford, he's not won that much. Like, go through our squad. Rasmus Højlund, he's barely won anything, etc., etc. Like, we don't have seasoned pros in our team. We have players who think they're better than they are, and players that, will leak information like this saying that Erik ten Hag does not have the experience to play for Man United. To manage Man United. If we're going on that narrative, then could we not argue that these players don't have the experience to play for Manchester United? If they genuinely think that this man who won the Eredivisie 4 seasons in a row, won obviously the League Cup in his last season in his first year in the Premier League, won the Dutch Cup a couple of times, he's won a decent amount of trophies, right? How does he not have the experience to manage Manchester United? But players like, I don't know, I don't want to single it out to people, but I mean, even Marcus Rashford, right, as an example, he's been in the first team for 10 years, pretty much now, hasn't he? Near enough, maybe a bit less, 7 years, let's say, 7 to 10 years. And in that time, he has won the FA Cup, the Europa League, and the League Cup. So he's won 3 trophies in his career. Which when you look at that versus Erik ten Hag, what he's won as a manager, like you'll see what I'm getting at here. Yeah. But yeah, it's just a bit frustrating, and I'm sick of all of these sources from the dressing room putting stories out. Yeah, it just doesn't bode well for me. Like, these players just need to go out there and actually show us that they care, show us that they deserve to wear that shirt. And at the moment, I don't feel like they are. But obviously, that's just my opinion. Maybe you disagree. Maybe you think Erik ten Hag hasn't got the experience. Maybe you think the players do have the experience. But yeah, that's my opinion on that. Anyway, I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. I hope everyone has enjoyed this evening's show. If you have, please smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel on your way out. Really helps the channel. Please do that. And make sure to drop a comment as well below. Let me know your thoughts on everything we've discussed on the show. Have a great evening, everybody. And I'll speak to you all very, very soon.